Welcome to the Hubfizz Live show, where you can get ideas to help grow your eco-conscious business. And today I am joined by Beer Sommelier and educator Cheryl Cade, and we're talking about beers and tours. So hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
Yeah,
sorry, jumped in early.
Great to have you on the show. Just a bit about Cheryl. She's a beer sommelier, international beer judge, beer festival manager, member of British Guild of Beer Writers, runs award-winning beer and history tours, and you also teach art, food tech and history, and you've got so many other sign language, you've got so many strings to your bow. So yeah, so great to have you on the show. So first of all, this is obviously aimed at eco-conscious businesses. So my first question I'm going to launch into is, what is your favorite eco beer, or can you give us some examples of brewers that you know that are doing things more sustainably?
So eco and sustainability, there are quite a few breweries now that have been looking at their sustainability. One of the biggest known names is probably Brewdog, which this year announced that they were now carbon neutral. Okay. And that includes all of their bars, their production, their delivery, etc. And that by next year they aim to be carbon negative. But also we've got the little guys, we've got the family breweries such in Belgium, such as Breda Haag, which brew a delirium beer, which you would notice because it's a pink elephant. Yeah. If you've seen any beer that's got little pink elephants dancing, that's delirium. And Breda Haag, they do a lot of recycling, but they also are social conscious. So they use a lot of people, they work with a lot of people in the community that have learning disabilities or disabilities and give them work, etc. If we're thinking about this region, currently I had a chat with David from Norwich Brewhouse, and he is developing new recipes that are using English hops with American flavour profiles, so we're not having to bring the air miles over to get the hop content that people are looking for within their beers nowadays. So, and then you've got people such as Bull of the Woods, who are looking to completely recycle all of their water. They have reed beds, a lot of that sort of thing going on to try and encourage more sustainability, but also more cost effectiveness within the industry as well. And most brewers, sort of like 10-15 years ago, it would take 6 pints of water to make 1 pint of beer. Nowadays, most of them have got it down to about 3 pints of water max to make 1 pint of beer. So they're all thinking about their conscious sustainability within the environment.
And as you say, that lowers the cost and everything as well. Yeah, so some people doing some great stuff there. And yeah, I mean, I know, of course, Norwich Brewhouse. I know this as well, Wildcraft, they do foraging for some of their ingredients. And you've also got the otter malt, haven't you?
Maris Otter. Maris Otter is approaching, I think it's its 55th year.
Okay.
And it's one of the most widely used and prized malts for brewing because of its high sort of like a sugar content and its clarity and its reliability, its consistency. But it's one of the few that have been around for so long and still able to maintain that purity of its genome.
Fantastic. So there's a lot going on. So I also wanted to speak to you about your tours, because obviously being sort of this great beer sommelier and educator, knowing so much about that, you also run your own beer tours. And of course I've been on a few of your local ones in Norwich, and I've also been on a couple of your Belgian beer tours. But of course I know this has probably been massively affected by what's happening with COVID, but also Brexit. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, when we were running the European beer tours, we were running them as thirst consultants.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Brexit vote happened, I had a lot of people were contacting me, asking me how we were going to travel. And I was like, I have no idea. And they said, well, what paperwork are we going to need? So still no idea. And even now, there is still no idea. It's and also I was contacting hotels, contacting businesses, and saying, you know, look, how much is it to book the rooms and do everything? And all of my prices overnight increased by probably £30 per room per night.
Wow.
And that's a lot. And my business works on as small a margin as possible because I want people to enjoy themselves and can afford to go even if they're single. And we were looking at things, people weren't booking. And in the end, we just went, I'm sorry, we're going to have to just park and stop doing the European tours until things have sorted out and settled down. So we then closed the Thirst Consultants and stopped, and I then started as myself and focused on doing tours around Norfolk, Suffolk and around Norwich a lot more. I also then went on and did a qualification in cheese, so that I'm now a qualified cheese sommelier as well as being a beer sommelier, which gives me another string to my bow. That it means that I've got that opportunity to do, such as this evening I'm doing a cheese event and talking to people about local cheeses and local produce from the areas.
Brilliant.
But yeah, Brexit, very scary. COVID, equally scary. Especially
it really affects a business like yours. I suppose if you're doing the walking tours or something like that, you can obviously social distance and do that. But I think that actually was leading into my next, question, which was sort of how important it's been for you to diversify what you do. And I mean, you've kind of said that now you've gone sort of looking down, doing something local, including a bit of history, going down the cheese route as well. But at the same time, supporting all the local businesses as well, because come Brexit, you're going to rely on those, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. And come Brexit, we've got, for example, I was talking to St Giles Pantry, that's recently opened, talking to all the local producers. Yesterday, I was talking to Jackie from Marsh Pig, and we were saying, look, we've got all this wonderful produce around that is produced locally. We probably won't be able to get certain things into the country at the same price that we can. That we need to be shouting out and supporting our local businesses. And although COVID has had quite a negative effect on a lot of the sector, the food and the hospitality sector, one of the things it's created is a diversification for across the board, but also I think it's created an awareness of where our food is coming from. Absolutely. And how your local business is the one that will deliver to your house. And they're the ones that will consistently give you the same products, but also that seasonality of the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well. I think that's really important. That's really highlighted it, and I've tried to support them as much as possible as well. Yeah. And so my last question, because we do keep this very snappy and to the point, so we're getting sort of near to the end of the show now. What is your top eco tip, whether that be personal or business? If you can just let me know quickly what that is.
Well, one of my top tips is buy local and always think about how far that has come. And if you think that you don't have a local brie, yes, you do. And if you think there isn't a local salami, guys, there is, and probably of the better quality and better reared and better looked after. Our food standards in the UK are some of the highest in the world. And yet we seem to have a government that has ignored that fact a lot. But yeah, my main tip is be as local as possible and support each other.
Yeah, support each other, and buy ethically, as you say as well, which you're often doing when it's local. So thank you very much. Well, we can, to find out more about Cheryl, your website, cherylcade.com. You can also find you on social media at Thirst Beers.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Cheryl. It's really a great pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you for all your insights. And goodbye. And we'll see you all next week, same time.